excuse if my voice is a bit fucked, but I just had the worst fucking dream ever, and it made me so furious that I had to roll out of bed and talk about this. Okay, so here's what the dream was. I was me and my boys were running away from this monster, right? And I was holding the door back. All right, very very simple job. I just gotta hold the door. Everybody else's job is to make the door lock by using the computer to run the lock door command. All right, and it's just you go into the prompt and you type in lock door. That's it, right? I'm just yelling at my boy, yo, you need to lock the door, lock the door. He's like, I don't know how to lock the door. What do you I'm like? What the fuck? You don't know how to lock the door? So I'm over here freaking out. The door is breaking down. I'm like, run the command, run the command. Dog, I'm having the worst time in the fucking world over here. And my friends are just staring at me, looking stupid as hell. And I'm getting pissed. And I realize that, like, oh man, they weren't ready for this. In fact, I don't think anybody's ready for this. Listen, if you and me are in a locked room, you're the one holding the door, okay? Isn't it weird that we live in a world that is so reliant on technology, and yet none of you know anything about it? I don't mean none of you as in, like, the general audience, but I mean, like, the general population know nothing about the technology that they use, right? I don't think privacy would be such a big concern. Brother, are you gonna land? Are you okay? He's been flying here since I got in. Yeah, I don't know what to do about him. There's just general disinterest in learning. Not how to code. You don't need to know how to code, but like learning about the technology that you use. You know, just being tech literate. I don't know why I did that. One of the first videos that I put out on this channel. Actually, no, it was my first video. The first video I put on this channel was this thing about tech literacy, right? There was this paper I read in college, and it was all about digital natives and digital immigrants. People that grew up with technology versus people who had to adapt to technology. And the idea in the paper is that the digital natives were the people who... Oh, he's fast. Yeah, I don't have the spear for that. Yeah, I don't have the spear for that, I'm sorry. The idea is that the digital natives are the people who... They don't really need to do any type of work to understand technology, they just inherently get it, right? There's nothing scary, there's nothing frightening. It just makes sense to them. And as a result, the way they look at the world, the way they see these things, the way they understand technology, is different in a way that makes it easier, right? I cannot find Bruce. If you're a digital native, then of course you understand technology. Of course you don't really have to do any type of adapting or any type of work or any type of, like, serious research. You grew up on this. This is nothing to you, right? But what I'm finding is that this paper, well, I think it's true, because I'm a fucking digital native, and I understand technology without really understanding it fully, right? I grew up with a VCR player, and I had to teach my mom and dad how to use it before I was, like, I don't know, 6 years old. Like, I knew how to use rewind, pause, fast forward, all this shit. And I was a fucking hand baby, basically. Yet I understood it. It just made sense to me. I intuitively got it in a way that they did not. That is the strength of that paper that I'm talking about. That is the strength of a digital native. We are capable of understanding these concepts in ways that other generations just cannot. And yet, the digital natives of today understand... They understand the surface level, sure. That's correct. But that's kind of all. And that was, that's strange. It's like, rather than digital natives, these guys turned out to be like digital consumers. They're a generation of consumers. And that's kind of frightening, because when I'm finally fucking dead and gone, right? When I'm nothing but ashes and bones, and the world has to be built by these people who know nothing of the technology they're using, I'm worried that they won't be able to hold it together. I think that half of this is because the technologies have been around so fucking long. That's like their legacy. It feels decrepit to touch them. Looking at HTML looks like you're looking at a fucking Death Note or something. I don't know. Like you're looking at hieroglyphics. It's terrible. I've been wondering, how do you bridge this gap between people who don't know technology and should know technology versus the people that know technology and have no idea how to tell people how to learn technology? I don't know if that made sense at all, and maybe that's part of the problem. It's a bit confusing. So I guess step one of learning technology is to use it, right? And everyone's using it. You're using it right now. That's not a problem. Step two is understanding how it works. Or rather, not how it works, but like how it connects. How does this technology connect to this other technology? How is it that you can make a video appear on YouTube? What does that process look like? And this is where the filtering starts to happen. Some of us understand, okay, yeah, you just get a file, MKV or MP4, whatever the fuck, and I upload it to YouTube by clicking the fucking upload button. You know, the bright red one in the top right corner? Yeah, that one. And yeah, I'm just going to press that button. YouTube makes it very easy to understand how to do this stuff. It would be shameful of me not to understand. It's like, okay, cool. We got that part. Now, layer 3 is how it works. And this is where, this is like the great firewall, right? This is the great filter. Everyone disappears here. Look at these fishes that I can't fucking, like, grab and put into my pocket. That's a shame. They're just chilling. I can't grab them. I can't snatch them up. What the fuck? It's kind of, scary to get into, like, encoding and all that, but I don't even think you need to learn encoding. I don't think you need to be a technical person to understand technology. I don't think that... How do I explain this? I have this general feeling that we all have an intuition about these things, but because we fail to express it properly, we kind of, like, tuck it away in the back of our heads like, oh, I guess I just don't get it. I think all of us gets it. I'm thinking of an example to describe what I mean. Okay, here's something that's, like, considered very difficult to do, even though it's not difficult at all, and I'll continue to say this, making video games. Because, you know, that's part of my profession. If I started talking about programming, like, development or something, I think I'd lose a lot of you, so we're going to talk about video game development instead, because I think that's more common. More people understand that for some reason. Mainly so they can shit-talk developers who make their games worse, actively worse. So we understand that we need certain things to do game development. Game development is a process of combining art, programming, music, and some general ideas, just thoughts, right? Concepts. The conceptual part is probably the most difficult part, and this is why you'll see so many games that are really, really boring, despite having, like, really great art. A good example of this is the cozy game industry. You scared me just now. There we go. Got him. What an asshole. Fuck this guy. I almost died to him. If this is hardcore, I'd be way more stressed. Luckily, it's not hardcore. There's a lot of cozy games that came out, like, after Stardew. Like, within, like, 2-3 years after Stardew. Hell, I'd say 2-3 years after Stardew, like, 1.4 or something. Like, the cozy game genre blew the fuck up. And a lot of it was some of the most boring shit. It was some of the most dull experiences that you could get. People forget, Stardew isn't just a Harvest Moon clone. Stardew has combat. Stardew has fucking dungeons, okay? Stardew has some fucking grit to it. But it's like these developers kind of forgot that. Or rather, the lead developer or the director, or whoever the fuck their ideas guy is, forgot that. The ideas guy isn't just some throwaway role. Like, it is super fucking important that your ideas guy is actually an ideas guy. But I'm getting sidetracked. The point is that we more or less understand how games are made. You don't really need to understand deeper. You have the general idea. It goes together like this. That is good enough. I don't think you need to know the details of how Unreal Engine or Unity renders things out and what makes them different and why you choose Godot for licensing fees. You do not need to give a shit. You do not need to care. It's fine. You are fine knowing less. Another example that I came up with just now, and this one's probably more relevant to the topic I want to get to, is that the idea of decentralization, right? So alone, the concept sounds completely impermeable. Like you can't get through this. You can't understand this. This doesn't make sense at all. And its use case is also like kind of lacking. But when you break it down to its smaller pieces, you basically have actually no, most people have experienced this. If you've played Call of Duty before, like back in the day, we had these connections called host connections, right? Where like randomly a lobby would pick a host. Whenever you go into matchmaking, like a host will be picked at random. And the host has the best connection, everyone else has a shit connection, right? The host is running the game on their console or PC, whatever the fuck. We understood this as peer-to-peer interactions, right? There's no central servers anywhere, right? We're the ones hosting this. We're the ones making this happen. And that's really all you needed to understand to have the concept in your head. Oh, he's hosting, and I'm lagging. Of course I am. What? What is this shit? Trade coins. Is that Bitcoin? They have fucking cryptocurrency? Okay. It's probably not cryptocurrency. It's probably some endgame shit. I don't know when I'm going to use that. I guess the scariest part about decentralization is like the protocols and shit. But like, as long as you understand the peer-to-peer concept, as long as you've ever torrented a file before, for whatever reason, you had to torrent a file. I can't imagine what that is. If you've ever done these things, then you've already experienced the technology. You know the technology. And it doesn't make sense to say that you don't. Oh. Oh, that's expensive. I cannot do that yet. Oh, wow. Okay. Maybe I'll come back here. The issue with tech literacy these days, I think, is that you have to have a willingness to learn these things. You have to have a willingness to be like, okay, I kind of want to sit down and get to understand what the fuck is going on. Why does this look like this? Why does this behave like this? What is the deal? And that's not always easy to like kick yourself into gear to do. Learning is some people find learning fun. I find learning fun. I like to learn new things. But not everyone does. And so the question becomes, okay, how do we bridge the gap for those people? For the people who don't really find learning fun and find it a hassle and would rather just consume the content rather than make the content, they would rather use the interface than design the interface. What do we do for those people? We make it interesting. No, we don't have to fucking gamify the learning process. I don't think that really works anyway. But people should have a reason to get into this that is more extrinsically motivated. I'll describe what that means. So we have two different types of motivation, right? Especially when it comes to video games. But actually, I'm going to stick to on the video game example because if you're watching this, you're a gamer. So intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. Some people use this like as a type of fucking slur, but they're just different methods of design, right? Extrinsic motivation says that the player does not really have the willpower to do this thing themselves without any motivation, without any incentive. They need a reward. They need stimulation that helps them move along to the next goalpost. There's nothing wrong with extrinsic motivation, right? I want to make that perfectly clear. If you need that little push to get ahead, that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Intrinsic motivation says you don't really need those little goalposts. You don't really need the rewards. You're able to motivate yourself into playing this game because you just want to. There are different systems we use that help facilitate these different techniques into working. Loot boxes, for example, is strictly extrinsic motivation. Sandbox or building mechanics is usually tied to intrinsic motivation, because building mechanics alone are kind of fucking boring. However, building mechanics with cosmetic building materials that you have to unlock by like doing hard shit, people tend to do that. People tend to like that. The Sims, for example, has this thing where if you get to the end of a career path, you can actually graduate from that career path at the final level and you will get a special piece of furniture that you can put in your house. For extrinsically motivated people, that is absolutely bullshit. Why do I want this? Where is this useful at all? Those are the questions they would ask. Intrinsically motivated, they're like, oh my god, yes, a new toy. Hell, there's an example right here in the game. A decoration package. This is something you get for looting barrels out of the open ocean, right? In this is a piece of furniture that you can put somewhere. I have nowhere to put it, so I haven't opened it yet, because it's just going to clutter my fucking storage. But, yeah, it's for the intrinsic player. It's directly for them. Extrinsically motivated players can get used to it. They can have incentives to learn this stuff. For example, you've ever played a game where if you put furniture in your house, you get a higher stat bonus in it. Black Desert Online comes to mind. If you buy a house and then you put things into the house, whenever you sleep in the house or eat in the house, I think, I can't remember exactly what it was, you get a bonus. No shot. Again? He's here? The point is that even if you don't like the decoration part of Black Desert, even if you don't really care for the building, you still have a reason to chase after these furniture pieces. And for that reason, furniture goes for a lot of money on the market, right? You can sell it for a lot. Because it's not just a tool for the people who want a nice looking house. Although it definitely is that. Another? Jesus. What I'm trying to get at here is that, like, we have these different systems that work for different types of players, and we cater to those players through those systems. Now, what the fuck does that have to do with you and learning technology and why you are technically illiterate? I'll get to it. So, we have these, all these things that make our technologies work the way they do, right? We have languages, we have, systems, we have operating systems, we have distributions, we have all these different buzzwords that are just ways to describe how something works in technology. What I worry is that for the people like me who have an intrinsic motivation to learn this stuff, and by the way, you can have intrinsic motivations in one place and then extrinsic motivations in another place. Not everyone, like, runs the line all the way down to its logical conclusion like that, right? I would say most people don't. So if you find yourself, like, an intrinsic learner, and then you're like, damn, I cannot be fucked to learn anything about programming, for example. That's fine. So my worry is that while we have these answers for the intrinsically people, we don't have it for the extrinsically people. And what that looks like is giving them a reason to play the game, giving them a reason to learn. What does that reason look like, though? I wish I had a better answer. I wish the answer was more logical. Because as it stands right now, the extrinsic reason to learn this is because you want to make money. There's a lot of money to be made in software, okay? A lot. I know I did that fucking rant about AI and layoffs and shit, but, like, for developers, dude, there's 6 figures waiting. And depending on how you think, you can end up in the front end, or you can end up in the front end, and then you go to the back end later. Everybody goes to the front end. There's no real avoid that. As soon as I get back to the boat, Bruce, you're such a nuisance. But there has to be something else, right? Minecraft gave players extrinsic motivations to keep playing, right? That's going to be your bosses. Your Ender Dragon, your Wither. Those are the reasons to continue on. The Nether Star. Intrinsic players, they've just been feasting for all these past updates because current Mojang don't really give a fuck about extrinsic players. And this is another case where, like, I'm intrinsic when it comes to, like, learning stuff, but when it comes to my games, I'm extrinsic. I like to have goals to chase. I like leveling up. I like progression. I like seeing new things and discovering new lands. Whenever I'm left to my own devices to do things intrinsically, like I'm doing right here on Raft, I kind of just fuck around. I'm not really thinking too hard about my choices, and that's kind of why I keep playing these survival games when I start yapping, because I don't have to think. It's great if I want to turn my brain off, but if I want to turn my brain on and actually do something, Raft is the worst game to play. Even though it has a story, it has an end game, it's not great. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Holy shit, I'm terrible at this. Goodbye, goat. I'll slay one of your kind one day. I'll go with a bow and arrow and traps and shit. Ooh, I meant to get a shovel and go in the cave. Yeah, whatever. Fuck it. Oh wait, I totally could go in right now. I totally could go in right now. I'm going in. Hold on. Holy shit, fast, fast, fast. Woo! Okay, I'll be back. The answer for programming, in particular. It probably looks something like, well, besides money, because obviously money's a really good incentive. It probably has to be like fear, right? I know fear was a great motivator for some of my friends I've been trying to get into fucking like programming and IT and all this. Because like it should be alarming to everybody what's going on with our data and such, right? We should all be very scared. If you're not scared, you should be. Okay? The fear over what these companies are doing, how they're operating, that I know that alone has probably driven a lot of careers to start up when they probably wouldn't have otherwise. That's kind of another thing to bring up is like extrinsic motivation doesn't always have to be a reward, right? Like technically being punished is extrinsic motivation. Even though we don't really like to think of it that way. Is that what's going to work for everybody? Absolutely fucking not. If it did, everyone would be a programmer. And I would be out of a job. It feels good to have like these short episodes, you know, where I don't fucking go into 30 minutes. But even in this short episode, I'm still over 20 minutes. Oh my god, I'm still a fucking mess.